Hey, back with the red cards from Shadows Over Innistrad Remastered. I'll be going through all the double face cards in the last video with all the multicolored, colorless lands, all that stuff. All the double face cards will be there. Starting things off here, Alchemist's Greetings. The mana ability's cool, but really just too expensive. Even that 4 damage for 2 mana isn't that good. Assembled Alphas, also not constructed playable, and then Abyss's Judgment here is probably the most interesting card here. 1 in a red, 2 damage divided among any number of targets. If its mana cost is paid, it does X damage divided as you choose among those permanents or players instead. In some kind of madness strategy, maybe you could take advantage of this, but again, it is quite overcosted. My favourite red card from Shadow's block is a Bedlam Reveler, and we do have the reprint here. 6 red for a 3/4 with prowess. Costs 1 less to cast for each use of the sorcery card in your graveyard. When it enters the battlefield, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. It used to be like a staple in Modern, with like decks like Modi Pyromancer, where you'd be like discarding Lingering Souls, that kind of thing. It's not really had like an amazing home in Pioneer, but it is a really powerful card to have around the format. Obviously, card advantage for those red decks. We have things like Ox of Agonis, and I'm curious to see if there's like a good like mono red prowess deck around. Lots of different ways you could build red anyway, but Bedlam Reveler is a pretty interesting tool. Blood Mist, Blood Mad Vampire, nothing really going on here, too slow or just not powerful enough. Boron Hostility, Burn from Within here, unfortunately not constructed playable. Collective Defiance is the big card here. 1 red, escalate for 1, choose 1 or more. Target player discards all the cards in their hand, then draws that many cards. 4 damage to target creature, or 3 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. Collective Defiance is really nice for blue-red control decks that discard all cards in their hand and then draw that many cards. In addition to Narset, Potter of Veils, is really, really powerful, kind of enables this kind of like blue-red wheel deck. And then obviously the nice thing about this, as opposed to something like Days Undoing, is that it does have that flexibility to be a removal spell as well, if need be. So Collective Defiance, a really nice addition to the Explorer format, and to Arena. Deranged Whelp, Devil's Playground, Ember Eye Wolf, yeah, none of these any good really. Falcon Wrath Gorger, Fiery Temper, and Flameblade Angel here on the next line. So Falcon Wrath Gorger is an interesting one. Red for a 2/1, which, hey, is not a terrible rate, but we've got so many good 1-drops in the format. In fact, in the current versions of Mono Red, you just don't play any 1-toughness creatures anyway, and that's a really big deal. Falcon Wrath Gorger here does something a little bit different, where each vampire creature card you own that isn't on the battlefield as madness, the madness cost is equal to its mana cost. Enables some cool stuff. We've seen a few different kind of vampire madness theme cards. It's not really become a deck in Pioneer, but it is something that's kind of sitting around, maybe with the right additions to vampires, some nice vampire tribal cards get printed, then we'll see it break through. Fiery Temper is on Arena already, but the card is very good. 1 red, 3 damage to any target, which of the whole is, you know, expensive. However, the mana's cost turns into Lightning Bolt. If you discard it, you can pay red, and then 3 damage to any target. I've seen it in some blood-based burn decks, in decks where you'll kind of have a bunch of ways to discard cards, whether that be something like Fable, the Mirror Breaker, obviously. There's a bunch of different use cases where you could see Fiery Temper getting played. Flamebane Angel, just too expensive, really, unfortunately. Carrying on, Furyblade Vampire is a sweet card. 1 in a red for a 1/2 trample. Beginning of combat, you may discard a card. If you do, it gets +3/+0. That does stack up a lot of damage very quickly, and again, in some kind of vampire-based madness deck, if there's enough like good vampire support or support for madness that gets printed, then maybe we see something there. At the minute, probably not enough for like a vampire-themed madness deck. I think there are better routes to go if you want to take advantage of madness stuff. Galvanic Bombardment is sweet, but not really powerful enough for Explorer Pioneer. Galvanic Bombardment deals X damage to that creature, where X is 2 plus the number of cards in Galvanic Bombardment in your graveyard. Unless you're really doing something to dump a bunch of cards into your graveyard, it's not really going to be efficient. And then Golden Knight Castigator is a mythic rare, but unfortunately not really good enough, despite being a pretty cool card. Next line here, Howlpack Wolf, just not constructed playable. Incendiary Flow used to be a sweet one, but we have a bunch of ways to deal damage and exile creatures now. Things like Obliterating Bolt, there's no real space for this. It does have the upside of dealing damage to any target, but being a sorcery it is very limited. And then Insatiable Gorges, just too expensive really for constructed. Instant Neonate is a nice one, but it's a card we already have on Arena. Red for a 1/1 menace, and then discard a card, sacrifice it, draw a card. Mana's Enabler is a nice way to get like cards from your hand into the graveyard for reanimation stuff. It's neat, it has some uses. Lightning Axe, another sweet one. 5 damage to target creature, but you have to discard a card. Whether in something like Phoenix and that kind of thing is a good card, but again already on Arena, and then Mad Prophet here, too expensive. Magmatic Chasm, so 1 in a red, creatures without flying can't block this turn, is actually a powerful effect. It has seen play out of the sideboard, out of decks like Mono Red, or Green Red, where you've got all the monsters. And just being able to say, hey, all my creatures are unblockable is powerful. It isn't the kind of card that necessarily sticks out as something that's constructed playable, but occasionally does crop up. Make Mischief, Mirrorwing Dragon, while sweet, unfortunately not going to make it really for Explorer. Maybe something like Brawl Mirrorwing Dragon shows up. It is a sweet card. Nahiri's Wrath, one of the first cards spoiled in Shadows Remastered. 2 and a red, additional cost to cast, discard X cards, then deals damage equal to the total mana value of the discarded cards. Primarily, it would be used as like a discard outlet for something like Dredge if you're playing red, that also kind of clears the board up for you. Pretty situational, doesn't really see much Pioneer play, but it's around in the format. Pyre Hound, too slow. Ravenous Bloodseeker, also not going to make an impact on Constructed. Rush for Adrenaline here, just not doing enough. Scourge Wolf is a sweet card. Red first strike, and then if you've got Delirium, it gets double strike. There are some cool Wolf Matters cards, but I don't think that there are enough tools to enable Delirium in that kind of deck to make it viable, but it is sweet. And then Shreds of Sanity, not really making an impact on Constructed either. Getting towards the end of the red cards now. Simprodder, just too slow for Constructed. Sensia Masquerade, like, these are all sweet cards, but unfortunately not going to make it. Stromkirk Occultist is a rare downgrade, and is a cool card, but again, there is some like madness stuff that you could try in Vampires, but is currently not got enough support to be a Constructed deck in its own right. Thermal Alchemist, which is a sweet one. 1 and a red, Defender. Tap, deal 1 damage to each opponent. Whenever you cast Insult or Sorcery, untap Thermal Alchemist. I believe it is already on Arena, but I'm not actually 100% certain on that. Really, we have too many other good options. Tormenting Voice, already on Arena. Oryx Kindred, just not good enough. The last red card we have is Uncaged Fury. 2 and a red, target gets +1/+1 against double strike turn to turn. We have Team of Battle Rage already, and there are also other kind of effects like this. That is all the red cards. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be back with the green cards tomorrow, and then all the multicolored, colorless, double face cards lands will be in the last video on the 21st, but that'll come out in the day, and then the set comes out kind of that evening. Following which, I'll have a bunch of Constructed stuff coming out next week, which should be pretty sweet, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Peace out.